Okay, so for this video, we're out here on Psalm Lake at Birchwood talking about loons. Can you see it over there? There's the loon behind me. One of them, I don't know if they're male or female because they both look the same, but we know that these are adults because they look a little different from their babies. But loons are kind of cool because when they find partners, like when they mate, they have the same partner for their whole life. You see both of them out there? So I guess there's both of the loons. I'm gonna try to turn us that way. So loons are, when they mate for life, they always stay with the same partner and they always go to the same place. So these two loons are kind of special because they nest at Birchwood. They nest on our lake. And so every year in the wintertime they leave and they'll come back in the spring. They always come back to the same place. And so this is where they lay their eggs every year. When loons lay their eggs in the spring, summertime, and then they hatch them towards the end of summer, like fall, winter time, when it gets cold, the adult loons will fly away, and the younger, they're more like juvenile loons now. They actually fly away also, but they fly away on their own. And they kind of, when they're going south, where it's a little warmer, they tend to flock with other younger loons, where they kind of hang out together and they grow a little more until they're adults and they go and find their own partners and they do the whole thing over and over again. But the loons are really special at Birchwood because we always like to look for when they have their babies. Oh, they're still over there. These loons are actually, they're just the common loon, which is the common loon. The yellow-billed loons are the biggest of the loon family, and these are not those. They're just common. So they hang around the lake. Loons are also very protective. They're aggressively protective of their nest area and their young, which we're on Psalm Lake, and every time you come boating, we'll tell you like they typically nest over that way, and to stay away from their nest because they're aggressive and they're protective. But these are the loons. Loons have 4 different types of calls. So we'll hear them because they're really loud also, and they're like haunting, kind of eerie sounding. They have a wail, which is, I'm not going to demonstrate it because I don't know how to do it. But you can hear it all over camp because that type of call is the one that's like for a long distance. So if there's one loon flying around and the other one is like at their nest, they'll do this wail kind of thing when they kind of perceive a threat. And because it's a long distance call, we hear it all over camp if you're listening really carefully. They also have they have 3 other types of calls. We hear them hoot sometimes. You really can hear them all over camp, and it's hard because you kind of think that they're birds, but once you kind of learn what their calls sound like, if you hear it, you're like, that's the loon. Okay, so loons, like I said, how they stay in the same, they usually come to the same nesting area every year. Loons need a runway, kind of like an airplane, to take off when they start flying. So loons, they need about, it's like 30 yards of space where they can like build up speed and then take off and fly. And so sometimes loons will, if they're flying and they get tired, they see like wet road or they see a small pond, they can actually get stuck sometimes. Loons are not great on land. They're really great swimmers, so their legs are really far back on their body, which makes them great swimmers. They have a lot of like strength to propel themselves, but on land they're not that fast, and so if they see this wet road, they think it's a lake and they go down to land on it and it's actually land. They have a hard time getting out. They'll get stuck sometimes. But like our Psalm Lake here is really long. It's kind of cool sometimes if you're out here, you're lucky enough to catch them taking off, but we just hang out and we watch the loons, and during the summer we just kind of watch to see, sometimes eventually we'll see the babies, but these are the loons.